if you would like to start. There's a mic right there for you. Thank you.
Well, welcome everybody. It's sure nice to see a turnout like this. Most of you, I think I know most of you. I've been here for a long time. I've lived in TR since the early 1980s. I actually lived in a 1,000-man camp until there was enough houses I could get one. During that time, I've had multiple businesses, and most of them successful. And like many of you, have gone through the ups and downs of this town. TR is my home. I want to do all I can to see it flourish. I've had 14 years experience as a councillor. I've had 4 years experience as a mayor. I believe in responsible, accountable, and transparent government. Through my experience, I know what makes a good council. I will use the strengths and interests of each councillor to build a strong, confident, cohesive council. This is needed to get us back on track. I feel it should be the main objective of council to attract new business to town and maintain a good working relationship with those businesses and industries already here. I believe compromise between industry, environmental, and recreational issues will benefit us all. I would like to see more productive council with the use of portfolios so there's a greater connection between council and community. The top issues that I think face this town right now is first hiring a good CEO and supporting them. Daycare improvements is what I got. I think we've talked for that for many years. I think just about 6 years we've been talking about it, and not much has been done. High-speed internet, I know it comes close to town, and when I finished my term, we were looking at if there was enough room in the conduit to run the lines to the houses, and I heard there was. The red flag at the major banks, it costs all of us more money, and I think it's something that we have to address. With the new mine, its longevity should have changed the thoughts of some of those banks. I've done this before when the first downturn was here, and I do know a lot of the people that are still in the banks. Infrastructure repairs, we worked a lot of them when I was mayor. We had accomplished a lot, I think, a record for that council. And the other one is the boundary road. I'd like to see it finished. I'm a good leader and a great listener, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to first mention how privileged I am to be standing in front of all of you today. My name is Rick Consalvi, and I'm asking for your support in electing me as the mayor of Tumbler Ridge in the 2022 municipal election. With a background in addiction and community support work, I've learned the importance of working together in a collaborative approach and to create safe spaces where everyone can feel welcomed and valued. As a former senior leader of the British Columbia General Employees Union, the BCGEU, I learned about relationships, negotiation, governance, financial management, equity and inclusion, and fiduciary responsibilities. In this role, I worked with groups of people that acted on behalf of tens of thousands of members, putting their interests and their needs ahead of our own, with a duty to preserve good faith and trust. Personally, I love how inviting the people of Tumbler Ridge are. It is easy to strike up conversation and get a wealth of information from others who live in this community, who love this community as much as I do. More directly, I appreciate all the programs and events that are geared towards children, as it has provided a sense of community for our daughter. However, I've become attuned to several issues, including childcare provisions, housing availability and affordability, a largely burned out and underappreciated volunteer force, unmarked, non-paved, and unpaved roads. If you're looking for change, vote Rick Consalvi for mayor. If elected, I promise to be an open, transparent mayor, someone who cares for this town and the people within it. Together we're stronger, and a vote for me is a vote for we. Thank you again.
There we go. I'm Daryl. I want to thank the Tumbler Chambers first for throwing this on and calling it for coming up. Appreciate that very much to have you guys here. And then for the residents of Tumbler to show up, man. I think we have an amazing turnout for tonight. So thank you guys for coming so much. I'm running for mayor. I've done 8 years on town council. I think I've stood by my values and done lots for our community. I think there's lots of things that the town has worked at previous to me getting on council, and some of those things were carried forward. There's more things to do to carry forward from this last term, and that is internet, it's childcare, and it's healthcare. And when we talk childcare, you can't just talk about building the spaces, and I know previous councils have tried to build a new building and all that, and it didn't come to fruition because the mines turned down. But even when the mines turned down, we've got to still build it. So even if Kanuma ends up on a downturn, we still got to go forward with a daycare, whether it's renovations or adding spaces. But when you do that, we also have to look for staffing. As mayor and working with council, whoever the residents of Tumbler Ridge elect, I plan on working with them and trying to get a buy-in that we help support in advocating for the ECE, better schooling in the area that we live in. So whether it's using the Northern Lights College in Tumbler Ridge or having some cohorts in Dawson Creek. I didn't think I'd be nervous, but I am. I don't even know where I was going. Yeah. And then when we talk about roads, we talk about the boundary. And I know previous mayors have always worked on the boundary road. And I'll be honest, we've done the same thing. We keep pushing for it. We're just at the UBCM pushing again for the boundary. It all comes down to dollars for the BC government. And again, just keep pushing and pushing on them. We talk about the Murray Forest Service Road. Previous councils have really pushed on them, and to me they succeeded because it has changed in regards to what ministry takes care of the Murray Forest Service Road. And then I don't know the number, they haven't sent it to us yet, but they're actually going to be putting in quite a bit of money into that road in 2023 with plans on the step plans for it. So that's from previous councils and mayors as well, not just the council that's in today. So I think credit's due where it's due, and it's previous councils. So my thing is, again, I want to see us continue on with some of the stuff that we've already started working on and moving it forward. And I think Don had mentioned it right away is staffing, with whether it's CAO and or using internal. It doesn't mean you always have to hire outside, right? So then making sure we support our staff, having that support for all of our staff, not just the CAO, not getting in the CAO kitchen, but actually having support there for them. So thank you very much.
So thank you to our potential mayoral candidates. We're going to move on to your town council now, and so you may start. Introduce yourself, please, and let us know your platform. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luana Dousseau, and I am running for town council. Why am I running, you ask? Well, why not? I'm a part of this beautiful community and would like to help the people and the council of Tumbler Ridge. I'm a good listener, and I'm open to conversations, even if you just want to talk about your day. Sorry, I'm having problems with my glasses. I don't have a lot of business experience, but I do have a lot of life experience. I like to find solutions that will work for all of us, and I'm also a fresh face and a fresh voice. I, myself, am a senior, and I know the struggles that go with that every day, whether we're going to pay our rent, buy food, get our medication, or pay the bills. So I would like to work together to see if we can't find some solutions for that as well. Also for housing, to make availability for those that can't climb stairs or can't get out. I know that childcare and housing for seniors and families, as well as health care, are big issues for this town as well. So if we could get together with the industry, the forestry, and the First Nations, provincial and federal governments to work together to help solve some of these problems. I don't have an answer for everything, but I am willing to listen, be open, and transparent. So I am able to work as a team member, and I'm also able to work alone. And I will also hold people accountable for actions and inactions. So in closing, I would just like to say, if you would like a change, vote for Luana Dousseau. Thank you. Very nice. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, hello everybody. My name's Ron Hoffman, and I don't do prepared statements, so this is going to be an attempt to be a little more conversational. I do have notes though. So for those of you who do know me, I am a part-time plumber, full-time dad, husband, and that sort of thing. My wife works full-time from home, and I try to fit in a couple of jobs between dropping off and picking up the kids. So I've appreciated everybody that's invited me into your homes, and I've had a number of conversations with y'all on what's really important to the town. For me, I came from a rather large city area. I was from the Lower Mainland, Richmond specifically, and I waited about 7 years to finally get out. So I was really glad my wife finished her school and we were able to do that. So the things that I see that I really want to protect is all the quality of life infrastructure we have. We have a lovely library for the size of the town, skate parks for the kids, all of that, including roads, and I just want to see that supported. And I know a lot of the staff is quite dedicated to doing that. Seeing 5 people on the side of the hill hand cut grass, I really appreciate those efforts. The other issue that I've heard all the way down here is the childcare issue. I don't think that's an easy solve, but I think that we just need to really be willing to do whatever we need to do that. If that's supporting somebody and getting the education and certification, then we need to do that. And we can come up with however we're going to fund that, whether they pay back per check or however we want to do that, that's fine. But space, we have space. We have lots, we have a community center that we can use parts of. Whatever we need to do, we just need to be able to do that. And one of the reasons I think that's very key is I think we're running out of room. I was looking when I bought 2 years ago, there was about 100 listings for places to choose from, across from empty lots to houses to apartments. I looked the other day, I think we're down to less than 40. So whatever we do, as council, there's limitations. We can't just go and build $1 million neighborhoods, but I think we need to start encouraging this to have the room for people to come and join us here, and whether that's medical staff, teaching, whatever it is. More businesses, absolutely. Fill up the boulevard would be great. I've also heard a few things that I'm not particularly aware of the details, but we seem to be having a turnover problem with city staff, and that's just something we need to address. It's just rather expensive to have to keep refilling the same position over and over again, and that's from top to bottom. A little bit about my background, since I have 30 seconds left. I have a pretty varied education and pretty varied work experience, everything from an economics degree and a law degree to a plumbing certification. And the skill set that I'd like to bring is that accountability. Last sit down behind a desk job I had was actually as a business analyst, so I know what a income statement and a balance sheet look like, and it's just another aspect that we're going to need to make sure we take care of, because who knows what the future holds. We are a mining town after all. So we'll leave the long-term stuff out. Thank you very much. And if you want me to keep dragging, or let them get the next one. All right, thanks everybody.
Hey everyone. So I don't think I ever had the experience of sitting next to somebody who was taller than I was. So it's an interesting experience. I've never had that. I kind of have to lean back and forth in front of Ron. So, if I've ever blocked your view, I apologize. So my name is Chris Norbury. I moved to Tumbler Ridge in 2011 with my wife Lindsay when she had the opportunity to teach here at the local high school. Since moving here, I've had a lot of opportunities to grow professionally and personally and as a family. Before moving to Tumbler Ridge, I was working as a residential care aide, looking after persons with special needs and at-risk youth. Since moving to Tumbler Ridge, I've worked at the Children's Center, the Rock Pit Gym, and now I currently work at the Tumbler Ridge Public Library as children's librarian and tech skills librarian and research librarian. We wear a lot of hats. And now, I've tried to build community through our multiple programs and services offered by identifying gaps in our community and then trying to find programs and services to help our gaps in our community. So we do a lot of tech help at the library. We did a food program for a while, those sorts of things. After attending council meetings for 3 years, I felt that I wanted to step up and serve my community by running for council, which I did for the last 4 years. And those 4 years have been an amazing time of growth for myself, as I've been exposed to many different types of views, opinions, and ideologies, and I've had to appreciate them and amalgamate them into my own, because I know my viewpoint isn't always correct, and definitely had to learn that a few times over the years. Bernie's giving me a face there, absolutely. And that's part of personal growth, and I fully believe in that. I think it's important to recognize when we're wrong so that we can learn and grow from it. I believe that through community involvement, volunteering, and working with the public keeps me in tune with the ever-changing needs of our community. My work at the library and with many different types of people through the boards that I work with help guide me in defining what our community needs are and how I can lend my voice and actions to help. Willingness to learn from others, interacting with professionals and experts to guide my decision-making from a cooperative, inclusive, engaged, evidence-based approach. I want to continue to be a voice for our community at the local, provincial, and federal level, which I've had the opportunity to do. For the last 4 years as councillor, I've served on multiple boards, which I'm very proud of. But I think our priorities for the future are childcare space creation, economic development, access to reliable healthcare, housing development, support for our nonprofits, recruitment and retention of professionals and volunteers, bringing high-speed internet to town, and continued support for sports and recreation. I believe that with my knowledge and experience, I can help us navigate these issues. As the municipal process and other processes, there's a lot of red tape. Thank you.
Oh, I got this one. Good evening. My name is Ken Klikash, and I came to Tumbler Ridge one snowy day. There was about 60 centimeters of snow on the highway, and my car was only about 19 centimeters high. So I had to back down a lot of hills and take runs at them just to get here. But that was about 15 years ago, and since then I've worked with 4 councils, 4 CAOs, 3 interim CAOs, 4 CFOs, and 4 public works directors. It's way too much for a town. We have to stop this in and out type of thing and pick the right people and get them working in our district. I was told the other day we're short 4 people in town hall right now, and man, I don't know if they found anybody to work there, but we better get some people in here that know their business and are willing to stay here. This is it's been an ongoing problem, and I hope we can rectify that. The other things I want to talk about is I really believe in daycare, and I think that there's an opportunity here that we could probably get this thing going properly. It's been 15 years that I know of, and we've been talking about daycare for 15 years, and we still haven't got the thing solved. At one point, I think we had close to 4,000 people in town. There was 2 mines going, 4,500 in fact, and there was a lot of kids in town. But I've never seen so many kids in the last couple of years. I think all the families were busy over COVID or something, you know. But anyway, another thing I'm really worried about is fire. We saw what happened this year at Kelly Lake, the possibility of it getting burned out, and also at Hudson Hope. And I think we got to do something about it. Nobody's brought it up, and the thing is, like, how are we going to get fire retardant out to the fire when our airport is too short and it's not in good shape. And I think we got to put this thing together and make a bigger airport. We need a runway of probably about 4,500 feet, and we only got 3,500. So if you want those big bombers to drop fire retardant around the town so your houses don't burn, then that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to look at that. I was building inspector for, I don't know, I guess 6 years. Then I was building services manager, where I looked after all the buildings in town and maintenance. So in that, I really would like to see this infrastructure taken care of. I see Public Works building looks pretty shabby. I did get quotes for repair on the fire hall and Public Works to put the same kind of metal insulation on the outside. At that time, it was less than $140,000 to do each building, and now it's probably $500,000 to do each building. So we should have looked after it a long time ago. If I'm elected, I will make sure that this is looked after and that we get this on council's table. Wow.
I'm Roxanne Julick. I've been in Tumbler Ridge now for 11 years. I'm kind of like Daryl. I'll just go by the seat of my pants and can. My kids are my biggest accomplishment, and Tumbler Ridge has given us the gift of being able to raise our kids in a pretty great community. And so they keep me on my toes too, and keep me in touch with things that are going on. Now, 2 of them have moved away, but I still have one that tells me all the things. So we have a business in town, my husband and I. We have a tourism business. And I've worked at Chevron, so I got to see a lot of different faces there, and I also work at the library right now, which I will be giving up if I am elected. So I've also volunteered with lots of different nonprofits here in town, and realized that I like politics, and so this was a natural segue. Like I said, because I've been given so many gifts and our family's been given so many gifts, it's time for me to give back in that respect. As everybody's kind of said here, healthcare, daycare, nobody's really mentioned teachers. The thing with the daycare, there's a trickle-down effect, which I'm sure everybody's aware of. But if we potentially have 3 teachers right now who will not be able to come back to work if we don't get some daycare in town. So while we don't, like daycare, honestly at this point should be, I think, the number one issue. I know we've lost somebody at town hall because of daycare. Daycare, once you don't have that, you're losing a lot of different people, whether it's because the wife wants to go to work and there's no daycare. Anyways, we could go on. I could go on for a long time, but I only have 1:15 left. The other thing, because I have 3 kids, I also feel like we have a bit of a space when it comes to our youth in town. I think that they often get a bit of a bad rap, that they're causing a bunch of trouble, which I don't necessarily think is true. But I think that we could do a little bit better in having things for the kids, and try to maybe figure out some way to connect them with the rest of us in town. Because if you don't have kids, you don't necessarily get that connection to see how great our kids really are in town. We're really unique here. We have to figure out how to get people here for tourism. Of course, tourism is something that I'm familiar with because that's what my business is. And I think that we're unique in the fact that we're off the beaten path. And so that makes it difficult for people to get out because we don't have the services that maybe are needed. And we need to draw people here because that's how you grow a town. So I feel like there's lots of different things out there. I'm always willing to listen. And I just know that if I'm elected, that sits differently than me sitting up here, because I don't know what that necessarily is like until you're there. Thanks.
Now, before we open the floor to questions, I just wanted to mention that there are 2 candidates that are not here tonight. Nicole Noxana sent me a message and said that she is on the PAC for the school, and that tonight was their first district PAC meeting in Dawson Creek, and she's chairing that meeting. And she felt that because it was the first PAC meeting of the year, and they had a meeting with the superintendent, that she should attend that because she had given them her word that she would be there. So she is just really excited about serving, and yeah, she said she's happy to talk to anybody. If you have questions, just ask her. The other candidate, Garrett, I haven't heard from, so I can't say anything about that. But did you, Rick?
He had sent an email to the Chamber of Commerce email that we got, saying that he was not attending as it's not part of his campaign.
So I will hand this over to Kathleen, and if any of you have questions, please get them ready.
Thank you. Thanks, Jerry Lynn. So we're hearing, I think we heard from every candidate stuff around recruiting and retention, not only within the municipality, but in terms of your labor force as well. We heard about daycare, fire, infrastructure, economic development, tourism, so lots of things for us to chat about tonight. So how that's going to look is you're going to raise your hand. You're going to ask a question. You can ask it of all of council or mayor or council candidates, or you can ask one particular candidate. The candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to that. Jerry Lynn will time that, and we'll just move through the course of the evening. When we get to about half hour, 20 minutes before the end of the evening, the candidates will have closing remarks as well. So that's how the rest of the evening is going to look. I'm not seeing any hands coming up, but there's one. I know you have lots of questions, so I'm going to get my exercise. And we're just going to start the evening with some questions. Excuse me. Thank you. All right.
So my question is for all of council. This past spring, we did a big campaign around town regarding the the PNG energy. And I'd like to hear, it's great hearing about daycare and infrastructure and all that, but I would like to hear what your plans are for the energy crisis, I'll call it that, for Tumbler Ridge. It's getting out of control. PNG and BCUC have been sitting on boards. The year is up. They're going to have more applications coming through, and I would like to see council held accountable for staying on top of these things, which I don't know that it all has as of yet. So I'm curious as to where you stand and what your plans are for going forward for the energy for Tumbler Ridge.
Don, would you like to start?
This isn't new. They've been trying to take it to Tumbler Ridge for a long time. We've been fighting it for a long time. They talked about at one time this virtual pipeline, which is a bunch of trucks trucking natural gas from Dawson Creek to here, which would really tear up that road, and it'd be very dangerous too. But the gas is here. I worked in the gas fields, and the gas is here. Some pipelines they need is what they need, and their costs are multiplied because of they're dealing with some old stuff. They haven't built new equipment, and I did sign that petition, and I did send a letter as a person that worked in the oil patch, and they don't take it in. P&G is they get given this, and then they just make money off us, and I think they should spend a little money, and then I'm sure they'd find a way of cutting their costs, because their costs are way high, but it's because of lack of maintenance.
So I remember speaking to you at one of the community events, and we had discussed of the possibility of seeing if we can get Fortis BC to take over the contract from P&G to see if we could get a cheaper rate of gas. I would look into that. I don't have a for sure answer of exactly what we would do, but I would be open to council and to making it work.
No problem. Thanks for the question. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I've signed your petition. I totally agreed with it. I think it's something we got to keep advocating for. I know in the last council meeting, we just passed a motion to look at amalgamation through the Northeast. What that would mean is the delivery fees that were being charged through PNG to come to Tumbler Ridge would be split through the whole Northeast community. So other communities would also pay some of that. Don hit it right. I've reached out to PNG. Their plant needs lots of upgrades, or at least maintenance. But yeah, I totally support it, and I would help try to do what we can do. We were at the UBCM, and we had a meeting with the staff with Energy and Mines, and the same thing. We were pretty much shut out of the meeting. Like, they wouldn't listen. They just reach out to PNG. They talked about amalgamation there as well, and it happened to come up at our meeting on last Monday. So it was voted and passed by council. So.
Hello. Oh, hi. Are we, yeah. That is a very good question. One that definitely needs some looking at, which I don't have a lot of information on. But that can definitely be taken up with the council, and I just don't have an answer for that right now. I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. Going to parrot the same thing. I did sign the petition as well, but to have an answer of what we can do as council, I don't know how much we can directly do other than talk and negotiate and work from there. We don't have control and we don't have leverage, which is really the problem here. The one aspect is we can look at alternatives. Instead of doing natural gas, we start using other energy sources in other ways, but that's not a quick solution at all. And I hate to say this part of it, as a world, we're in trouble with energy right now. Even if we do lower the distribution costs, our energy costs are going to go up, and we need to manage it some way or another. And it's not the local level that we're going to win that. We're going to have to provincial and federal levels to deal with these energy costs. There is just no way that Canada with 40 million people, the US with 300 million people, or Europe with 700 million people, these energy costs are going to be a problem for a time to come. And I'm more thinking about if we get more windmills and that sort of thing over the coming years, that we shift some of our energy burden from natural gas to something like electricity. Not the immediate answer, and it's not something that we just drop, but I don't know how much we can do as council other than continue to put some pressure on and try to work with our peer towns around here. But I would like to tell you we're going to make them drop the prices back to where they were before, but I don't know if we can actually get that done, so I can't promise you that.
I'll stand so everyone can see me. So I think Daryl kind of summed up what we're doing at council, and I think when situations like this arise, it's always good to find someone who knows a little bit more about what's going on than I do. And I've talked with Maxine quite a few times, and I've tried to take your lead in how we can approach this issue. Talking to the Ministry of Energy and Mines is one way to do it, and we did. We requested the meeting. We were able to speak to them, and I spoke in that meeting. And I kept trying to hit them like, okay, open up the market. Let's get some other people in here. Let's, we've talked to Fortis, they're willing to come in. Let's bring in a new pipeline from Alberta. Speaking to the BC government about bringing in Alberta might not have worked out so well, but there's multiple ways that we can try and approach these issues. We've requested intervener status as a community. And I think it's great, all the work that yourself and Tony and the community have done to try and approach this issue, because I think that has actually caused more movement than anything that we've done. So grassroots movements are always great in situations like this, but we got to keep advocating for lower costs. And I think the amalgamation of the rates across the region help. We got to try and open up that market, because right now PNG, they're given carte blanche. I mean, I understand they're given 20% off the top goes to PNG. And we got to keep talking with government, we got to keep talking with industry to see if we can come up with creative solutions.
Okay. I really don't know a heck of a lot about this. All I know is my gas bill's only $1,100 a year. And I can't imagine any other thing that's cheaper. If you look at going to electricity, you're going to have a heck of a big gas bill or electrical bill. It's probably 3 times the cost. And windmills aren't going to make it. According to Hydro, they're not allowing any more windmills up in this area. So that's as of this spring. So I don't know what we can do. Insulate your houses better, put triple pane windows in, and you'll cut your gas costs right down. So that's the solution, I think. Thanks.
Thanks for the question. I would like to say I also really don't have a perfect answer for you, Maxine. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is to listen to the people who know things, and particularly in that realm, like with the folks who've already gone and seen the ministers and stuff like that. I heard some good ideas down here. What I would like to say is that I understand your frustration is around if somebody doesn't know, how do you address the problem? And I felt like that was your frustration, is that the district didn't have the knowledge, and you felt that that should have been something that we were on top of, or that should have been on top of. I don't know what that looks like until you're into the system and you know what that looks like. But I agree with you. And so that's where I think it's important as somebody who would be on council to hear back from the people in town and give honest answers. I'm really okay with telling people I don't know. I can look into that for you. And I'm also good at saying to you, that's not going to be a priority for whatever reason that I might say that, if it's something that we've already approached or not. I really appreciate you and Tony doing the work that you have, because that made it easier for me as a citizen to be able to sign my name, because I know that wasn't easy for you guys. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you bringing the question. And it would be something that I would still support the changes for. And it sounds like there's people here who know those next steps. So I would say, as a counselor, what I would do is leave it to the people who know and not try to talk like I do know the answer. So thanks again, and thanks for the question.
Sure. Can we just, where was the question?
This is for the mayoral candidate, Rick. You mentioned volunteers, and I wondered what nonprofit volunteer work have you done in Tumbler Ridge?
I've been here for just over a year. I personally have not done volunteer here. I do know from word back that volunteers are getting burnt out. And I want to look into ways to support volunteers so that they feel that their efforts aren't going to waste and that they're appreciated for what they do.
Next question. Come on, there's got to be a question. Sir? Excellent, thank you.
Seeing as nobody else put their hand up, pretty well everyone mentioned we've got to do something about health care, but I didn't hear any ideas. Do you have any ideas? And I think this would probably be something that would come down from the top. So how about I'll address it to the mayoral candidates?
Yes, I got an idea. Back when they first built, when they were adding on to the University of BC in Prince George, communities donated to that wing, and the idea was to produce doctors and nurses, well, I think doctors, that would stay in this area. And Tumbler Ridge was the town that first got the first donations in, and that was a tough time for us too, because we didn't have much. But we thought that was really important. I would like to put that question to the UBCM, not UBCM, the University of BC in Prince George, because we come up with the dollars. They haven't come up with what they said they were going to do. And whether they can, I don't know. But they were always good to deal with, but we haven't got what we paid for.
So I would say that I don't have a perfect answer for you. I believe that we need more community health care. I believe we need mental health care. I believe that we need some addictions treatment. I don't have the answer of what I'm going to do or what we're going to do to bring it in, but we do need it, and I will work hard with council to find ways with staff to find out what our options are.
Yeah, so starting with that, I actually sit on the Mayor's Health Task Force as a chair. So things we've done is we've added the all access passes to nurses or health professionals. That's helped attract actually some local nurses that have moved from the south to Tumbler Ridge with their families. So I think that's something that has to continue. To me, there's a very minimal cost to the district for that. The other thing we got to do is keep working with the ministry. We've put in a lot of taxpayer dollars. Like obviously that's the money we use, taxpayer dollars, to up wages or incentives to get agency nurses here to fill shifts. I want to say, and I'm going to say it's about a year, but it might be only about 10 months or 11 months that we've not been on a diversion in Tumbler Ridge. When you look at the Peace region and Chetwynd, I mean, our neighboring community, which, you know, it's not, hey, they're on diversion, we're not, but, you know, to me, and the rest of council have worked so hard to make healthcare as a priority that we haven't been on diversion. They've been able to keep the nurses here or have it backfilled with agency nurses. So the thing we have to do is advocate through the province, and, you know, again, we met with the ministry to open up more spaces in regards to the people that are already trained from other countries and learning those steps. And, you know, we've learned some of the steps when I was at the meetings, and I think we need to get it out to the general population that have moved from overseas and what they need to do to actually be a nurse within British Columbia or a doctor. I mean, fabulous news, we have a new female doctor starting in Tumbler Ridge. And that came because one obviously is retiring, but the bond we have and the gem we have in Tumbler Ridge, when these doctors and nurses come here, we actually take them out, whether it's hikes, dinner, they get to meet the staff at the health center at BC Ambulance, and try to work as a team. And I think that's really, really helped our healthcare in Tumbler Ridge. I mean, there's always improvements. I mean, Rick had mentioned it, mental health. I mean, that's something we need back in our communities, mental health counseling, not Zoom. Actually, in person, share it with Dawson or share it with Chetwynd, but have somebody here, you know, once a week or twice a week if we can, and help that out. And same with addictions. Oh, thanks.
Question? Do you have a question? Nope. Somebody? Anybody? Thank you. I'm right behind you.
Hi, everyone. I just want to know what time of year do you guys start filling potholes in Tumbler Ridge? Because there's many of them here. And we're here just over a year, and we've lived many places, and I'd sure like to see some activity there. I'd like that some of the maintenance guys could maybe answer that question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good, mate.
Yep, we can start on this end.
Oh.
Absolutely.
I don't do maintenance, but I do know that Ken used to be part of, well, I don't know, what was your, you weren't potholes. Oh, there you go, he's making the roads. I hear your frustration, and particularly we know the area, well, we all probably, the dump road by the RV park and down to the golf course and stuff. I think as somebody who's lived here, I'm often quite impressed with snow removal, so I give lots of forgiveness when it comes to other areas because I think that we do pretty good. I do understand the concern around the potholes. I would imagine that there's some reason that Daryl or Chris could probably give you because they're currently on council, but I would say that would be something that I would be concerned about. And I know there's been talk in the past about some improvements that have been voted down, and I don't know if that's cost or not, but we still need to take care of them because it is getting to the point where there's going to be accidents as people move to get out of the road of the potholes. Then you're meeting traffic as they're coming down on their side of the road. But Ken's the guy that worked, so I'll let him talk.
You grab the mic.
Kathleen said I could go.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's quite a few potholes around. And I think it's maybe our repair method that we're not doing it properly, and And that's why they, they just pop out in the next 3 or 4 months and we've got potholes again. So I think we have to look at that, probably look at the method and make sure that we got some training there on how to do that, how to fill them.
Thanks for the question, Bob. So as a sitting councilor, that's my mistake and our fault. I'd rather not make excuses. I can give some reasons why. That stuff is usually done over the summertime with our summer students. We've had quite a bit of turnover in our public works department. So, you know, unfortunately, and I apologize to everyone, some of these yearly maintenance issues that are dealt with fell off to the side as people are learning the position, and it's fallen off the side. But when it comes to our infrastructure, this last council and the council previous has really focused on asset management. So we save money to replace our roads. So we have a healthy bank account, and we are planning for the future when we do have to replace roads. Right now we're just patching and filling, but eventually the plan is that when they get bad enough, we'll go in and we'll fix them, and it won't have a huge bill to us. We're saving for it, and I think that's always the best approach, is to save and plan for the future. Yeah, hopefully as we can, I would suggest bring those issues up to Town Hall or CAO or Public Works Department, and they can deal with that. Thank you.
Infrastructure is my thing. I think as a small town, it's one of the things that I really like. When we first came and visited and drove around, that okay, golf course aside, that the roads were in reasonable shape, not the greatest shape, but the house pride thing. The people are proud to be here and they take care of their houses. A few exceptions. There's a Mustang that I'd like to bring up with a particular homeowner, but aside, that people are glad to be here. And I think we just need to do all of that. We need to budget for it. We need the people for it trained. Not in council yet. I don't know what specifically it needs. If it is a veteran guy to come in and teach, I'm okay with bringing them that crew to show them how it's done on 1-2 week period. I was rather impressed with what was being done on the road to Dawson, driving by several times and seeing the 4 trucks. We're not there yet. I don't think we need that crew to come out, but just, yes, exactly. But I think that's just it. As for myself, I want to see the town take care of itself, and that's just one aspect of that. And that means keep the kids' skate park up, keep the new bike park up. I hear that some of the public works building needs some help, and I'd want to do those things, and I understand it's a line item, but if we take care of it, I just think it'll cost us less down the road. So that's just including the roads on that. No. 4.
Sorry.
Right.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I come from a big city, so to come to a small town and see the snow removal that is done in the wintertime around here is amazing. I mean, I agree with the potholes and stuff. I'm not sure, joining council, maybe we can have some, ideas of what we can do, how we can improve it. I don't have all the answers for that, but I'm willing to work on that, willing to work with council on that to see what we can do.
Yeah, I'll take blame for that. As a counselor, I'll take the blame. I mean, and, be honest with you, some of the things, and Chris already mentioned, the turnover from staff, but also staff has a schedule set, and I don't know that. I'm not staff. I said at the council things, and we do the policies and stuff like that. So, but I'll still take the fault for it. I've seen the potholes. It's hard to give that direction. Hey, listen, this has got to be a priority. There's lots of priorities to me on the plates of staff with turnovers, but I'll definitely take blame for that. I'm a counselor today. I take the blame for the potholes, definitely the dump road. Be honest with you, the golf course road was on the books and in the budget with a grant. It was put out to an RFP, but it never hasn't come back. But that was being looked at being replaced after we worked through the BC government to get ownership of the right of way, because we didn't have that. So we're actually the road wasn't all ours anyways. So now it is. But I take blame for that 100%.
So we've heard twice already that council has taken responsibility for the non-filling of the potholes and whatnot. But we also heard that we've got a nice healthy fund that we've been saving. You know, that gives us opportunity to use that money on infrastructure.
We've got a pothole machine that fills those potholes. I was just thinking about this the other day. I think we pick up our asphalt from other towns that have tore it up, and they pick up this used asphalt. Maybe we should be, and I don't know nothing about paving, but maybe we should be picking up new asphalt and adding it in with that. And I think training, like Councillor Klikash said there, I think training is a big thing. I know Fort St. John has the same equipment we have, and I've seen their potholes seem to last. They have more potholes than we got, but when they do fill them, they seem to last a lot longer. So I think that would be my solution to the problem. But there are roads that need resurfacing, and I know we did the bottom bench a few years ago, and I think it was done good, and I don't think you'll see a pothole down there for a while.
Thanks, Don. Thank you.
Me again. This question I like answered by everybody except the two standing members. So sorry, Daryl and Chris, you're out on this one. One of the hot topics that's around town right now is lot expansion, and how some can get it and some can't get it. And you know, I know it's still in its infancy of lot expansion. So I'd like to hear from everybody else, except for the two of you, how you stand on lot expansion in town, please.
Don, would you like to start?
It's a tough thing because this was a planned community, and it was planned for low crime, low accidents with cars and everything. So you see your streets at dead ends and all that stuff. So when you start expanding lots, and there's two ways of looking at that. If you're expanding a lot to an area that isn't going to be in the future growth plan of the town, fine. But a lot of these areas are planned for when we start building more houses. So if you start making the lots near them bigger, then all of a sudden you're not going to have full lots for the new houses. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into that, and I know having a bigger lot is nice. And I know myself, I bought a lot in front of me, but it was a full lot, and that's the way I expanded my lot. But no, it is a big problem, and I know there's two ways of looking at it, but it's something that council will have to deal with if I see somebody running around town looking at that.
So this is a topic that I do not have a lot of information on. This is the first time I've heard that that has been happening. I personally believe that we should have enough land for the people that need it before people that want more. I know that there are families that are living in hotel rooms that work in the mines that just don't have an opportunity to live, rather rent or own. So I would like to